water dripping off me, Aquafina.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are back for another one. Hi, y'all. New topic. Why Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. is the biggest fight in combat sports. Alright, y'all, so definitely getting close, man. The news is circulating. It's coming out. The fight, pretty much a done deal. It's gonna happen this year. Took it all the way to the line, y'all. They waited all the way to the last minute. You know, I've been wondering, like, why is it that they are so adamant about having the fight this year? And also, why are they waiting to the end of the year? And the only reason that I can come up with why they're waiting for the end of the year is because there have been quite a few other super fights or mega fights, just big events in boxing this year. You know, we've had the Joshua Uzeki fight, we got the Canelo Triple G fight coming up. We've had I believe there was a Charlo fight going on this year. But there's been other big fights in the sport of boxing this year. The Triple G Canelo fight is still coming up. So I'm guessing that they were trying to, you know, position themselves correctly in between those other fights to make sure they can maximize their viewership and their dollar amount that they make off of the fight. Why they're adamant about doing it this year, I don't know. I can't for the life of me understand. I don't see why they wouldn't just have this fight be the first big fight of 2023. I would think that they could plan it better, they could have more viewership, they can advertise it more. But on an advertisement point, I don't think you can advertise it anymore. This fight has been advertised because it's been talked about so much and not happened that I think it can't be talked about anymore at this point. So I don't really think they even need to advertise this fight that much for people to know about it, because word of mouth has already carried this fight. It's probably as far as it's gonna go. Why is this the biggest fight in combat sports, or is it the biggest fight in combat sports? Interesting question. I would have to say it is one of the biggest fights in combat sports, because I don't think the biggest fight in combat sports has actually happened yet. But I feel like this: if they were to put on Maypac 2, it would be the biggest fight in combat sports. You know, it's crazy because if you attach Mayweather's name to anything, it becomes an instant success for some reason. I don't know why. But at this point, you could put Mayweather and Jake Paul in the ring together and it would be the biggest fight in combat sports. Is this the biggest real fight in combat sports left on the table? Yes, I would have to say yes. This is the biggest fight left to be made in combat sports. I don't think it gets any bigger than this. You know, the Triple G Canelo fight's going to be big. If they were to do another Fury Wilder, it would be big. If they had a Uzeki Fury fight, it would be probably bigger than this. I would have to say Uzeki Fury would probably be the biggest fight in combat sports at this point, just because Uzeki's fought Joshua twice. You know, he's picked up a portion of that Joshua fan base. People that follow Joshua are probably now following Uzeki. Tyson Fury, I could say the same thing for him. He probably shut a lot of Deontay Wilder fans up. Might have picked some Wilder fans up after he beat him in the trilogy. And I don't think it's going to get any bigger than that fight. And we definitely probably won't see Mayweather, Pacquiao ever again in the ring together. We may see Pacquiao get back in the ring again. More than likely it would be as some type of exhibition fight. Same for Mayweather. You might see him in another exhibition fight really soon. I actually think I saw something advertised about him being in another exhibition fight, even though I really don't care. And I don't think Mayweather has that much impact on the real sport of boxing. What he's doing is not the sport of boxing. So at this point, Crawford and Spence, I think, have solidified themselves at this point, you know, in end of 2022 going into 2023 as the biggest fight in boxing, in combat sports, period. I don't think there's even an MMA fight that could top this fight at this point, and the numbers that it's probably going to do. What numbers is it going to do? Is it going to hit that magical 500, 600, 700,000, perhaps 1 million pay-per-view buys? I think it's going to be rough. It's going to be hard to hit 1 million. They might do 500,000 to 600,000, maybe even 700,000. I think that is possible. It's going to be a difficult thing for them to hit that number, but I think it's possible. It's very well possible. Now, if this is a good fight, I think the second fight actually would do better than the first fight, because I think the first fight is going to be more of a fill-out fight for everybody involved, for the two fighters, for the fans, for people buying pay-per-views, for the people streaming the fight. I think what'll happen is, even if this is a good fight, even the streamers will purchase the second fight. The people who want to even stream it, watch it for free. I think if the fight is good enough, at that second fight, that rematch fight, you'll have people who streamed the first one actually paying for the second. And I think that's what's going to make this the biggest fight in combat sports, is the fact that there will be a rematch involved, more than likely. Now, if Errol Spence gets in there and beats the crap out of Terence Crawford, you might not see a rematch. Terence Crawford gets in there and beats the crap out of Errol Spence Jr., you might not see a rematch. You know, physically, one of these guys might not make it to a rematch. Mentally, one of these guys might not make it to a rematch, because what is this going to do to the psyche of the loser? You know, both of these guys have yet to lose. Both of these guys are overly confident that they're going to win. What is it going to do to the psyche of the loser? Is it going to completely mentally break the loser to the point where they don't even want to fight anymore, to where they might take a year off from the sport? You might not see a rematch for over a year. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved. I do believe that one of these guys, after this initial fight, not going to be the same in the rematch. But if both guys give a good showing, anything's possible. You know, you might have a split decision, you might have a draw, you might have a quick knockout, you might have a late knockout. It's going to be seriously interesting to see how this fight plays out. Now, I do feel like if one of these guys wins decisively, there could be some fireworks when it comes to a rematch, when it comes to what's both of them's next move, because I think if Errol Spence wins, you're going to see him try to immediately exit 147 and start making his way to 154, making bigger moves and bigger fights. But if there is that rematch clause, it's going to make it difficult for him to, you know, just wander off. But what if he beats Terence Crawford decisively? You know, there's no even competition involved in it. Like, what if he just beats the snot out of Terence Crawford, similar to what he did to Ugas? I mean, do we really even want to see a rematch of that fight? Is it even necessary? Should you just allow for Spence to move on and do his thing at 154? Or does Terence Crawford just say, hey, you know what, I'm done. He beat the crap out of me. I only had one title anyway. I drugged this thing out as far as I could, and now I'm just ready to retire and be done with the sport. Anything's possible. Same could be for Spence. You know, what happens if Terence Crawford just beats the holy bejesus out of Errol Spence? Is it worth it for Errol Spence to even come back and challenge him again, just to have the snot beat out of him again and embarrass himself? Should he just move on to 154, or should he just retire? You know, just be done with it, because you would have gotten the crap beat out of you at that point. One of these dudes is totally not going to be the same after this fight is over with. And I think this fight is not only going to shape the welterweight division in the future, but it's going to shape the future of boxing. Hit that like button for me. Share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're more than likely to get a response on the tubes. Holler at me over there if you want a response. I'm done rambling for now. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are out of here.
Everybody know you about your ass.